Do you ever sit there and feel you wish we were in a plural relationship? The question in my head is like, are we going to try for, to live plural marriage again?
He could sell the 2-acre piece he and Robyn on and the 5 acres.
There's a few things that I will fight for, and this is one of them.
I'm not trying to rip you off, Mary. That's all imagined in Janelle's head because Janelle feels like, oh, I got divorced, so I deserve something. So are you excited about this?
No, not at all.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I think that Christine Brown Woolley is getting prepared to leave the series. I believe that her announcement of her new book and the synopsis of the book, along with the trailer for the second half of season 19, are an indication that Christine and David are going to be exiting the show. I don't know if this is for sure. I don't know how much of a role she will play. But in the trailer that dropped in February, there was no storyline shown of Christine. Christine's face did not appear until the very end of that trailer when she was asking Suki about Kody and Robyn's engagement and whether or not they were intimate before they got married. That was the only time in that 2-minute trailer that her face shows up. None of the storylines preceding the tell-all included Christine. Now I know that the trailer doesn't include every single storyline. It includes mostly what the producers believe are the juiciest parts of the season that might get the most attention and drama. Mary starting to figure out that Robyn's a manipulator would be a huge one for Mary because Mary was snowballed and totally snowed by Robyn for so long, completely bamboozled. And obviously the fight over Coyote Pass, which is the only thing that connects them all. And Kody and Robyn talking about bringing on more sister wives, which, interestingly enough, I doubt they'll show this in their season, but I wonder if they'll talk about meeting with the church leaders about the possibility of returning to the series or returning to the church and trying to create a branch of the AUB in Flagstaff and using Coyote Pass as their place to compound the church. I don't know if they'll even discuss that, but that meeting did happen where Kody was like, well, we could bring the AUB down here. And it, partially had to do with the fact that Robyn didn't want to leave the church. Robyn was still interested in plural marriage. So that conversation could be sort of like what they did, but they're trying to make it more palatable for the show. This guy would never show up on the film, by the way. Like the brethren that they met with, Paul, would never be filmed. But could you imagine if they sat on camera with Paul and they were like, yeah, Paul, so we were thinking we wanted to start a branch of the cult down here. And if we'd recommit to the church and we repent and we show all of the things that we're sorry for, can we come back? And I need some new wives because Robyn says that she's going to leave me if I don't get her new wives. Can you imagine if something like that was on the series? It would never fly with the public. So they probably recreated that conversation, but it's just between the two of them. But outside of these storylines, there's nothing about Christine. Absolutely nothing. So I was looking at Christine's new book, right? The book comes out on September 2nd, hardcover. The book has a photograph now of Christine wearing red, which is interesting because Warren Jeffs hated the color red. I don't know if the AUB had a thing about wearing red, but red is such an interesting color. And I think her Aunt Kristen's book has her wearing red on the cover too. But in the synopsis, it says that a groundbreaking and heartfelt memoir about living in a family like no other and finding strength to leave polygamy, the only life she's known, behind. It says Christine had always dreamed of having a picture-perfect family, beautiful children, an adoring husband, and of course, a sisterhood of wives to share him with. Raised in Utah by practicing polygamists, Christine knew her life was less than normal, but that didn't stop her from loving the full house of her childhood any less. Becoming Kody Brown's third wife in '94, she finally found the big, happy family she had hoped for. When TLC's hit show Sister Wives premiered in 2010, Christine knew it was her chance to shine a light on the brighter side of polygamy, the helping hands, the lively discussions, and their unmatched devotion to each other. But the cameras also revealed a much darker truth. Now, in this candid tell all, Christine shares for the first time the journey that led her away from polygamy and the bold path she is carving to live apart from all that she's ever known. Moving, genuine, and insightful, this is a unique and powerful tour de force of Christine's journey toward and beyond her time in the spotlight as a sister wife. Now, interestingly, in the first synopsis, it did not reference polygamy. It referenced the Mormon Church. So the very first synopsis was about her journey from the Mormon Church. This synopsis has it as the journey that led her away from polygamy and carving out a path forward. But then the end there, it says, a powerful tour de force of her journey toward and beyond her time in the spotlight as a sister wife, beyond her time. What I think is happening here, and what I think this book is going to cover, is one, the cameras revealed a much darker truth. And I think what the cameras opened up to Christine was a window into Kody's other relationships. I think before they had cameras, Christine was not privy to a lot of what was happening in the relationships with Kody and the other women. She wouldn't see them kiss. She didn't know about their intimate conversations. She didn't witness them on dates. She didn't see them having private conversations about family planning. She didn't witness the difference between how he acted with her kids or how he acted with another wife's kids. Prior to the show, the women were able to, in many ways, compartmentalize the relationship in a very different way than with the show. They did live in that house in Lehigh, right? But they still had 3 separate apartments. And if they didn't need to go into each other's apartment, they didn't need to interact with one another. They could just stay in their apartment and do their own thing, which some of them did. Okay. Sometimes they got all together and other times they didn't. They just stayed in their apartments and they did their thing. And in their own apartments, they again could remove themselves from Kody's other relationships and not have to think about Kody in his other relationships. They only lived in that house together in Lehigh for like 4 years. Prior to that, they had lived separately. Mary and Christine had lived together for a time. All 3 of them lived together for a time, and all 3 of them lived completely separate. They never lived together again after they left Lehigh. Once she got that window into the world, right, of what Kody was doing in his other relationships, she was able to see what was missing in her own life. She was also able to see dynamics at play within relationships. So much like you and I were able to see what Robyn was doing or what Christine was, or what Janelle was doing, or what Mary was doing, it's going to give the woman a lot more insight into like what the behavior is of their sister wives and are they truly doing what's best for the family or are they just there for themselves? Kody had mentioned years before that the fact that they brought cameras in gave his wives an opportunity to have a voice that they had never had before, where they got to express openly the jealousies that they felt, the insecurities they experienced, and they actually were able to like talk about and compare what was going on in their relationships. When you finally have the ability to see from a holistic perspective, from a 365-degree view, I think it would be hard for any woman to sit in that kind of space and claim that they're happy with the scraps that they're getting from Kody. So I think part of the dark truth is that part, right? That part that there's things he's doing with these other women that he's not doing with me. There's the issues also with money. There's the issues with time, him spending all of his time with Robyn. She's then exposed to Las Vegas, a whole new way of life. Christine actually, in a recent podcast, had credited their move to Las Vegas as being a game changer for her life and for her worldview, because for most of her life, she had lived in a very insular community of mostly other people that were from her church. The church had different sort of compounds, areas where people lived within communities with other church members. And because her whole social life and her world was around other people in polygamy, she was taught that everyone outside of her was dangerous and scary and to stay away. And she had mentioned that getting into Las Vegas, being exposed to all these different points of view, ways of life, and then starting to realize that the people that she was told she's supposed to be scared of actually were not scary people. And the world outside of her insular world in Utah was actually controlling her with fear and not with the truth. She started to start questioning what it was in her life. She realized, wait a minute, they told me all of these people were dangerous and bad and wicked. And now I'm seeing that these people are not bad, dangerous, or wicked. They're good people. She spoke about that on a podcast with Janelle not too long ago. And I think when she and Kody started having problems after Robyn came into the family, she had a lot more time to explore the world. And I think that is what her changed her worldview. But, and I'm sure that we're going to get into some of that in her book. But with any book deal, a publisher is only going to agree to a book if you have a compelling story. And you have to be revealing information that you've never previously disclosed. So this cannot be just information that we've already seen her talk about on the show. She's going to have to share things in this book that we didn't know about before. Much like in Becoming Sister Wives, they went into specific things that happened in their relationships that were not previously discussed on the show. Details about their courtships with Kody, their weddings, details about their first houses. None of that was revealed in the first few seasons of the show. So much like how that book was put together, she's going to have to reveal things that we don't know about, or no one's going to buy the book. Why would anyone buy a book that simply has what we've already seen on television? So, with that being said, I think that because of this book being released in September, that the season at that point would be over. And I think this is going to be her next move in life. Not necessarily that she's going to become an author, but I think this is going to be her way of separating herself from the life that she had before to the life that she has now. And it's going to be that separation point where she's like, I am not a part of polygamy. And if you're not a part of polygamy, being on a show about polygamy doesn't really help you move forward and move on. And that key statement at the end of her book synopsis says her journey toward and beyond her time in the spotlight as a sister wife. Beyond her time as a sister. Christine wants to be known for something beyond being a sister wife now. She wants to mark her identity in her own way. Not that she's a sister wife, not that she's Kody's sister wife, not that she has sister wives, but that was her life. That is not her life today. And if you are trying to move on with your life and you have a new husband and you are trying to get your daughter settled and custody and make sure that your ex-husband's paying child support, I think a lot of this is coinciding with her slowly leaving the show. And I think this should be sort of a indication to fans that the show is coming to an end soon. I can't imagine that it'll be on for many more seasons. I can't fathom that the current structure of the show is going to hold people's interest. The whole reason people watched this show was because they wanted to look into the world of a man that had 4 wives, and they wanted to be nosy and see, like, how does this work? Are they like Warren Jeffs? Are the women really controlled? Is he a jerk? Are the kids little robots for Jesus? Are the wives robots for the husband? Is it really true about the keep sweet stuff? You know, is there really fighting and backbiting and all of these different stereotypes we had heard? And I don't think anyone would have otherwise watched the show had it not been about that component. And when you strip the show of that part, it can't go on. Kody and Robyn are not that interesting, quite honestly, if they don't have this family dynamic. And if Kody and Robyn have to become the leaders and I guess, the staples of the show, and it's up to them to carry the show, it's going to not move forward. And I think part of the reason why this continued conversation with Kody and Robyn about are we going to add more women is because the contract of the show is developed around the concept this is a man that has wives, not just a man with one wife. So unless Kody and Robyn get more women, the show's going to have to end because none of these women will be able to move on with Kody under their with them being under Kody's thumb in a contract, with him being able to watch what they're doing, with him being able to stalk them through the show, through the footage, asking questions to producers about what they're doing and who they're interacting with. Janelle is living in North Carolina. Mary lives in Utah, in southern Utah. Christine lives in northern Utah. Kody and Robyn live in Arizona. They're in 3 separate states, 4 different locations. The kids live all over the country. The kids, some of them are in North Carolina, some of them are in Utah, some of them are in Colorado, some of them are in Nevada, a couple are in Arizona. So when you've got kids dispersed all over the country, it's no longer about the family. It's about there is no family. There is pockets of the family that still exist, but the whole unit of a family doesn't exist anymore. I think she's doing this book now because one, I don't believe she'd be able to write this book if she were going to stay on the show. I don't know if she would be able to stay on the show and then be someone that's writing a book about her journey out of polygamy. At some point in time, if you're out of polygamy, but you're still on a show with polygamy, you become a contradiction and a hypocrite. And this could be her just trying to cut the cord. And what better way to cut a cord than a good book deal, making some money, getting some residual money coming in, buying a couple properties that you can make some income on through the rental properties, the Airbnb she's renting out. David has a job. He works. She's got stuff that she's got going on now too. She's already built a decent sized social media platform. She doesn't need this show anymore. And I think she's ready to move on. And that's just my opinion. And I think we're going to start to see signs that she's exiting. But tell me what your thoughts are. Do you think she's going to go? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.